How do they control spirit? They do not directly control spirit. What they do is they keep soul separate from spirit. They keep the soul hungry, fragmented, as a soul who continues to starve. Poverty mindset versus abundance mindset. Intelligently, they understand mind, body, and spirit. They take a hierarchical approach into slowly collapsing the enlightened connection between spirit and soul by creating a false light. It doesn't happen in one generation. We're talking thousands and thousands of years of an evolution that has been keeping the false matrix, the false narrative alive and well and prosperous. What's happening right now is a great reset. See, they have zero intentions on collapsing anything. This 300,000-year-old spell has an opportunity to come into a collapse here and now. Why? Because we are here. It's making sense now. Imagine 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago for this to have had made sense. So imagine 100 years ago. The same. As they are attempting to reset for another, let's say, 300,000 years. So are we. The fight of all fights is not to fight, is to awaken and to come into complete terms of your individuality. Not looking for your tribe, not trying to attract any love, but to simply vibrate and be the light. Simply existing within your joy, your presence, your moments, and speaking with truth, meaning speaking with empathy, compassion, no longer filtering yourself, meaning living in complete transparency. Ride or die, meaning you will die living in complete transparency. No more masks. Not just unapologetically so, but so to be reunited once again with spirit. Spirit and soul is not outside, it's within. The construct of experiencing anything that's outside of you is the false light agenda, narrative, technology. Very ancient. More ancient than the evolution of humans as we exist within this vessel. This is not about praising the good versus evil. This is about finally coming into integration, synergy, in the way that you honor your authentic blueprint of existence. It can't be taught to you. You were born with this. They cannot control spirit, but they can keep spirit separate, seemingly outside of your vessel. How, you may say? By controlling the 4 elements. And I would argue by controlling the 5 elements, but the 4 elements of water, fire, earth, and the ether, the air. As they promote neurotoxicity by controlling and manipulating the elements, keeping your system, keeping your mitochondria in complete inflammation, keeping you in hunger for ATP, adenotriphosphate, which is the energy resource that your body breaks down to keep your vitality upright, to keep you not just functioning, but to keeping you alive. So by educating, so also by miseducating the collective with what food and nutrition is, by the continuum of eating flesh that is of dead carcass, eating flesh of dead animals, eating the flesh of animals that are not alive. We're not speaking of vegan, I follow no titles. We're saying that the trauma of the animals become what you eat. You really are, truly are what you eat. And in the moment. So the third party of having to consume flesh, as an example, is saying that you need to consume death to be alivened, versus reciprocating your aliveness with fruits that want to be eaten. Because it's the abundance of the tree, of the plant, of the soil that will rot and ripen regardless into the earth. And your digestive system is meant to rot and ripen foods as the fermentation process of your digestive system, as your pancreatic fluids begin to, with the hydrochloric acid and whatnot, begin to break down components. You start separating all of the material that is no longer usable to you. And that's what you excrete. But your body has been intelligently designed to consume that of what is within your environment. You are not separate from your environment. So by keeping you separate from your environment, it's also constructed to keeping you separate from even soul. So there's level to this. You separate soul from spirit, and then you entrap, you enslave, you imprison soul, making you live in a vessel seemingly soulless, without, and the control of the fire within, to keep your fire small, to keep the waters outside of you and your water body within you contaminated, so that if your fire starts to engender, it will be uncontrollable fire, such as in uncontrollable emotions, because the water body is not or will not be able to fulfill and self-regulate. See, the water wasn't designed to put out the fire, and the fire wasn't meant to dehydrate the water, as in dehydrated skin or face. But the synergy between the elements of the soil, the earth, the water I've mentioned, the fire I am speaking of, your true eternal vitality expressed, which enlivens your face, your mind, your intellectual embodiment, but it goes deeper and further. It's the way you connect with spirit. It's the way that you begin to metabolize the emotional state body when you are in grief, when you're crying, overexcitation, or lack of emotions. It's just as damaging as having too many emotions, such as in rage, in excess. But the transmutation, the transitioning factor of bringing something of the depth, of the awakening, of the sea, of your chi, of your vessel, your vitality, is to experience once again in this life form the steam of the evaporation, the condensation between your emotions and your energy being, and the fire that's being fed by that, and the raising of the essence, the jing, of the chi that gets converted from this flame, from your lower vessel, especially if you're practicing celibacy, especially if you are not just containing your jing, your sperm, or your overexcitation during sexual practices, but to convert that energy that most cannot. They forgot how to convert the root sacral into the solar plexus. It becomes over-sexual because humans have forgot what soul food really means. Soul food is not from dead flesh. Soul food is the intimate, sexual, sensual energy once it's transmuted from desires. But to enliven your desires, to self-equip yourself, not just simply to self-regulate, not just to feed your vitality, but to expand your consciousness and awareness beyond the perceivable mind and embodiment. Beyond expectations the same, because expectation ceases to exist in this reality. See, once you're completely self-regulated, once you understand how to manipulate and charge up your vessel, your lower dantian, they would call it your chi pot, meaning your belly, abdomen, the sphere, which you would anatomically connect the first, second, and third chakra with. Once you can bypass the limitation of the diaphragm, the physiology of the obvious into the unforeseen, unobvious, meaning your lungs or your heart chakra into your throat, into your third eye, and outward into all possibilities, is how you once again connect with the ethers, by connecting with yourself, by connecting with your strength, by connecting with your power, by connecting with your vitality. And even when they pollute our environment, our air, our water, as I said already, to diminish or to dwindle our flame, this is the rebirth of your ancient remembrances of inner alchemy. Books that have been hidden, no longer required. They are encrypted with the trees. They are encrypted with the soil. They are encrypted even in the polluted air that we breathe. We have the ability to digest, to siphon the truth and the free radical energy that exists even in poison, even in toxicity, because we do not just simply survive, we thrive. We thrive eternally speaking. And we are the ones that get to choose when to exit our avatar of an experience, no longer being enslaved or imprisoned by the ignorance of not knowing. Deuces.